Welcome back to 100 Days of 6-Minute Stories. My name is Andrea Kwamia, and I wanted to thank anyone who watched yesterday's video. I'm a huge advocate of mental health awareness, and if you have any questions, please feel free to shoot me a message. But on a lighter note, the other day, one of my closest friends and I were having a funny conversation, which led down to the topic of extremely loud sleepers, the snorers, versus eerily silent sleepers, which I happen to belong in that camp. And it made me think of a moment in my early 20s where the fact that if I'm extremely tired, I can fall asleep anywhere led to an extremely awkward misunderstanding. See, when I had returned to campus after taking a semester off, I was living alone. All of my friends and some acquaintances had graduated, and I made a decision, because I was paying my own way through college, to leave occupational therapy and switch to my minor in communications because I had enough credits. I just couldn't afford to do an extra year of OT. So luckily, in order to get my major in communications, all I had to do was complete a thesis paper and fulfill an internship. So I got an internship at the local theater in Ithaca, State Street Theater, and it was extremely fun. It was a non-profit. Everything was very grassroots. There was really only a few of us on staff, so everything was all hands on deck. And the big project that we had to complete for that semester was a benefit that State Street puts on annually. The theme that year happened to be 70s, and I love 70s music. I love event planning, and it was just really fun. I got to do everything from working on copy to collateral to distribution and donor outreach. So I felt like this project was also a bit of my baby, and I remember leading up to that day, we were working kind of late nights to prepare for any changes, and the difficulty was every night there was still a show, so it wasn't like we could set anything up ahead of time. So the morning of, I was in charge of making sure that some of the decorations and banners got there. So I woke up early, around 5 or 6 a.m. and made sure I went down and helped decorate with everybody. And I was there probably until noon, until I was given the go-ahead to go home and get changed and get ready. So I go home, and I was already extremely tired at that point. I tried to rest, but I couldn't get myself to take a cat nap. But I got ready. I was wearing a fake afro and brown bell-bottoms, and I went back to the theater. Now, I had been told that because of all of our months of hard work, that when we got there, all we had to worry about was mingling with patrons and being able to enjoy the fruits of our labor. But unfortunately, there was one particular station that was a bit unmanned, and that was the photo booth station. So I was asked to support the photographer as an apprentice that night. I was a little bit bummed out because I wouldn't even be able to get to see the concert. The photography booth was kind of in the corner away from everybody. But I fulfilled my duties, and some of my friends who were volunteering kept sneaking me little cups of red wine. I shouldn't say sneaking, it was just that they brought it over because I couldn't be in the party, and they felt a little bit bad for me. But mixing fatigue and red wine is no bueno, and I decided around like 10:30 pretty early on that I needed to go home. I needed to get into my bed, and so my manager let me off, and everyone else stayed. And I remember that I went to the bus stop. I could have walked home. It's only a mile and a half uphill, but I decided to sit and wait for the bus, and I must have fallen asleep the minute that I sat down, because when I opened my eyes again, there was a scene, there was commotion, there was a girl next to me who looked extremely worried, and some EMTs and flashing lights that all thought, because I sleep so silently and do not move, that I was incapacitated. Guys, I'm okay. I was okay. I was just extremely exhausted, and I had to basically assure the EMTs that I was fine and that I was on my way home. So I was able to, get out of that situation of having to pay an unnecessary ambulance. And on top of the this debacle, two people from my original graduating class that happened to be visiting town were walking by and saw everything go down. So I was extremely embarrassed, but I had to laugh about it. I was like, you cannot make this stuff up. So the night ended with me safely home in my bed. I slept deeply for a long time. And honestly, this is just a situation where do not take life so seriously. Do not mix red wine and fatigue. And if you think that someone on a bench is dead, please just try waking them up first. They might just need a really long sleep.